Today we're taking a look at a Seiko. However, this is not just any Seiko. This is a Seiko where Seiko have hit on all cylinders. It's an SLA053, so it's not a cheap watch. However, the dial, the bezel, the case, the overall style of this watch is incredible. This gets a bluish purple metallic dial that is textured, and it's a limited edition of 500 pieces. It also comes with a pair of cufflinks apparently. However, I don't have those to show you today. This is a gorgeous watch, so let's flip the camera and take a look at a Seiko SLA053. So recently I've had sort of a love-hate relationship with Seiko. There's a few different reasons for that. A lot of that has to do with their sort of little QC issues, some of the quality control and things like that. However, today, this watch is gorgeous. It's the reason why I love Seiko still to this day. This is a beautiful SLA053. The blue dial on here has to be one of the best blue dials that I have seen. It's textured. It is gorgeous. And there is a lot of lume on this watch. Now, this watch is not mine. It was lent into the channel by Belmont Watches. I will put a link to their website down below. They have this watch for sale. It's around $3,000. I think it's $3,000 exactly. It's essentially a brand new watch. I think they have box and papers. I think it also comes with a pair of cufflinks that are, I guess, designed to look like this dial, or is actually maybe the same material. I'm not sure, but this is a limited edition. It's a limited edition of 500. This is the SLA053, and you could see the dial is textured, sort of a little bit of a wave pattern on it. It's sort of metallic at the same time. It also has almost a fume pattern. I'm going to do plenty of close-ups so you could see what I'm talking about. It's difficult to really capture, and I'll do some different lighting video as well. So I'll take this outside. I'll show you this in direct sunlight as well. This also gets plenty of lume. That bezel, I believe, is ceramic. It almost looks like sapphire because it is so polished. It has a very high polish on it, but it is ceramic and it sounds amazing. Again, when Seiko get it right, they really get it right. Everything lines up on this watch as well. So that 12 o'clock index, there's a line through there. That lines up with the chapter ring, and that chapter ring lines up really well with that triangle at that bezel. Let's listen to the bezel action though. So it's not incredibly audible. However, the feel of the bezel is excellent. It's very, very precise. It almost feels like, I don't know, like a tank or maybe a really expensive safe. When you're turning it, it feels very, very positive, and I can't explain it any other way. It feels like a positive feeling, and it clicks really well. Very, very nice. And of course, it is glossy, but you have this white on black background, so it's very, very legible. Then you have these very big indices. Those are filled with lume. Then you have very large hands. Those are fence post hands, also filled with lume. And then you have a little pip on that, or a lollipop on that second hand. Again, that is filled with lume. The lume on here is Lume Bright, and it is very, very bright. This is a 44 millimeter case. However, since it's the Marine Master style case, it does not wear very big. It actually wears like a 42 millimeter watch. I own an SBDC061, and that's essentially how this watch wears, I would say, except you have that mono block design. Obviously, it's a 300-meter dive watch with a screwed-in crown, and essentially no screwed-in case back, and that's because it is a single piece of metal. And then you have a DLC coating on here, which is black. It's basically all polished. Then you have a DLC coated buckle, which is signed Seiko. The keeper, also DLC coated and signed Seiko. The strap is just a silicone strap, rubber strap, that has a little bit of relief on the backside. It's an accordion at the top. Really nice strap, essentially a new strap. I believe this is a used watch. However, it is almost brand new. You do have drilled lugs as well. Very quickly, I will do measurements, and then we will of course do a wrist shot and a lume shot. So at the bezel on this watch, it's just about 42.5 millimeters. At the case, it is a little bit bigger than that. Around 43 and change is what I've measured a few times. So it's more like 43.6 or 7, somewhere around there. Thickness, you do have a dome sapphire crystal on here. However, it sits basically right in line with the bezel. So it's 15 millimeters thick. It is, of course, a serious dive watch. You're getting 300 meters of water resistance. 15 millimeters is kind of thick. This does get an 8L movement inside. We'll talk about that in just a second. Crown on here is a decent 6.6 millimeters. And of course, like I mentioned, you get drilled lugs. This does not come with a bracelet, obviously, because they don't make a DLC coated bracelet for this watch. However, I think that would look really cool. 49 millimeters, so 49.3 is essentially where I'm at, 49.5, something like that. But like I said, they don't make a bracelet for this, unfortunately. I think it would look really, really good. However, they do not. This does get an 8L35. It has 50 hours of power reserve. Essentially, their thinner movement, it's their highest end movement that they will put in a Seiko. So the highest end time only that they will put in a Seiko. Obviously, this is a movement that is used by Grand Seiko. However, it's not a Grand Seiko movement. It's sort of a toned down version of a Grand Seiko movement. So you're not getting the finishing that you would get if this was in a Grand Seiko. However, it is a really nice movement. If you've ever seen pictures of it, it's a good looking movement. It's much better looking than what you would normally get from a 6R or 4R movement. Unfortunately, you cannot see the movement because you do have a solid case back. That is probably my biggest gripe about watches from Seiko that contain the 8L movement. They never put a display case back. I wish that they did. And in the past, they used to put display case backs for the 6S movements, and they no longer do that. It's a shame. These are awesome watches, awesome movements. I would love to see the movements as well. 300 meters of water resistance, harder to put a display case back, especially if it's a monoblock case like this, so it would be completely impossible. Anyway, though, I digress. What I have on my wrist today, I have on a new watch, my most recent purchase. This is a purchase that I just literally got today. This is a Bulgari. It is the Octo Solo Tempo, I believe is what it's called, or L'Original. I never really know which one it is, but it's the 10231 or 031. That's the number. It's essentially a thin dress sports watch designed by Gerald Genta. And of course, it has a screwed in crown, screwed in case back, and you can see the movement from the back. Really awesome watch that I just recently purchased. So I'll be coming out with a video on that watch pretty soon. But here is the Seiko on my 7.5 inch wrist. And I have to tell you, this is a comfortable, good looking watch. I really love this watch. In fact, I'm going to put a link down in the description to Belmont watches, but I kind of want this watch. It's awesome. I mean, it is awesome. That dial, if this had a bracelet, I think that would be sort of an irresistible purchase for me, because I think this would look awesome on a bracelet. All black, glossy bracelet. It's because it's glossy, it's and black at the same time. It's not very flashy, so I think it would look really, really good. But anyway, there it is on my 7.5 inch wrist. Like I said, it's basically a 43 millimeter watch. Essentially by its dimensions. However, it wears like a 42 millimeter watch, and I think they spec this at a 44 millimeter watch, but that's what it is. There you go. All stainless steel case, of course, just the DLC coating, which is basically all polished. Actually, I think the top of the case is brushed, so just the tops of the lugs, but everything else is basically polished. Anyway, very quickly, let's do a quick Lume shot and then wrap up the video. So that's really interesting. The first 20 minutes on the bezel is lumed, not the entire bezel. And it's very rare that I see a Seiko with a lumed bezel. I think this is one of the first that I have ever seen. That's pretty good, but it's weird that they only lume just the first 20 minutes. But either way, you can see there is a ton of lume applied to the indices and hands. Very, very bright. It's Lume bright, and usually Lume bright, when it's liberally applied like this, it'll last all night long. Obviously, you can see the bezel a little less applied, but still, it's pretty bright, and this is fantastic lume, so it does last a very long time. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. $3,000 is a lot of money for a watch that is made by Seiko. However, this is sort of Grand Seiko territory. I've said this many times when I've reviewed SLAs and LXs here on my channel. These are fantastic watches, and what they offer here is something that you cannot get from Grand Seiko. This is a really good looking dive watch that is 44 millimeters, but wears a lot smaller. You also get an 8L movement, so it's basically a Grand Seiko movement inside, and you get really beautiful finishing and the fit finishing quality of these high-end Seikos, the SLAs and the LXs. Those models in particular are phenomenal, and obviously this one lines up. It's just a gorgeous watch. $3,000 I think is a very good price for this watch, especially considering the quality that you do get. Tell me what you think down in the comments below. I will put a link to Belmont watches down in the description. Definitely check out their website. They have plenty of Seikos. I actually have a few of their Seikos here in studio to review. This is just one of them, and they have a bunch of other watches. They carry vintage, independent, and obviously major brands like Seiko. So definitely check out their website. Tons of watches. I think they add about 75 watches a week or something crazy like that. Check them out. I will put a link down in the description. They do not sponsor me in any way. However, they do lend me watches, and I very much appreciate it. Anyway, guys, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you in the next video.